Very good afternoon, respected Principal Dr. Bim Mondal, Professor K.C. Sahu, Dr. Bhagat, Dr. Kalyani Sahu, and our professor from Vidyasagar Training College, and coordinator of this program, Dr. Kalpataru Mondal, and all the distinguished participants of this program. Dear students, some of my students are also sitting here. I am really very happy to be here on this auspicious day. This is a great opportunity for me to share my experience with you all, and I am thankful to Professor K.C. Sahu for introducing me, and he has told many things about me, and I do not know to what extent I am satisfied, but this is a really good occasion. We are conducting this national seminar. This is on innovations in teaching. The title is Innovations in Teaching. Then ICT, integrating ICT and NEP 2020. I think Professor Sahu has presented his views yesterday, and Dr. Prof. Kumar Bhagat has also presented his view, and you know these two are the great scholars, and Professor Sahu was my junior. We have studied together in the same institution. I know him from the beginning. He is a man of philosophy and he is a very good orator, and very nicely he articulates the thing and presents, so you must have been benefited. Similarly, Professor Bhagat, now he is not a national figure, he is an international figure, particularly in the field of ICT, and he has very good association with UNESCO, and he is frequently visiting different countries, and you have been benefited from his talk, and particularly on ICT integration. So in this context, I would focus more on NEP 2020 and what are the innovations you will find in NEP 2020. Because ICT, when we are talking about ICT, ICT is a means, ICT is not an end. And from the beginning I have been working, but now I feel I am outdated. Because from the beginning I was working on this, and when this computer, you know, sir was explaining you about computer. At that time Windows system was not there, DOS version was there, and we started using computer. I remember when I was doing my MPhil and PhD, at that time I did one computer course, and Professor Sahu was there in Indore. Computers were new during those days. Then Windows version came, and now many advancement. Now we are talking about ChatGPT, generative artificial intelligence, and a lot of innovation we will find in the field of ICT. So ICT is a means, whatever may be the innovation, ICT is a means, ICT is not an end. If you see the technology and pedagogy, all the time pedagogy dominates technology, not technology. We are using technology, we are taking advantage of technology, we are integrating technology with teaching learning, but you will find, you will see the history from the beginning, this pedagogy is dominating technology. That is why as teacher educator, we should understand what is pedagogy. If we understand what is pedagogy, then definitely we can integrate technology and we can take advantage of technology. Because technology is a means, technology is not an end. That is why thorough understanding of pedagogy is essential. And if you see NEP is also putting a lot of emphasis on this ICT integration. Because in 21st century, we can take advantage of ICT because India is a huge country and we have students from different part of the country. Some are coming from geographically remote areas, some are coming from slum areas, tribal areas, urban areas, and we have Dipak children. Different categories of learners are there. How effectively we can reach these categories of learners? How they can take advantage of our teaching learning process? That is a great challenge before us. You think of the student because during COVID period, at that time I was in Delhi and the direction came from the ministry that what we will do for the students. Students are now not in a position to attend classes and what we can do so that student can learn during those days. And immediately we came up with the alternative academic calendar. You might be knowing all the CBSE schools they started implementing Kendriya Vidyalaya, Navodaya Vidyalaya, all the schools affiliated to CBSE and some of the state government schools they also accepted our model and started using that alternative academic calendar. What we did, we defined learning outcome. Keeping in view the learning outcome, we just identified the content what was available in our website, e-Pathshala at that time, NRVR and Diksha was there. So we identified, then we came up with some guideline so that that guideline can be used by the teachers and teachers will instruct the parents and parents will create learning situation using the available resources at home. And during those days we found the students who are having internet facilities, who are having the basic ICT facilities, it may be the mobile phone or laptop, internet connectivity, they took the advantage. Then we are worried, then how to reach all categories of learners. That was a big challenge at that time. Those who are not having internet facility, they are also our students, they are our children, and how they will be benefited. At that time, then we thought of reaching these children through community radio, through television, and we started working on this, and we came out with some learning material, and we took the advantage of this Swayam Prabha that we had one channel, and you see that was the background. And now we have 200 channels. And just to reach the people who are not in a position to be connected and who are not having the basic facilities, how to reach them. So we have come up with some solutions. Similarly, in the classroom also, when we are using technology, earlier when we had behavioristic model, we know the product-oriented approach, we are learning from technology. Because our impression was that our students do not know anything. Whatever content we have, we can divide it into small parts. Using this program learning, we came up with some computer-assisted learning material, and our intention was that how our student will acquire mastery over the content. We are using this computer-assisted learning during those days. But now we say we are learning with the technology. That you know that we have many ICT tools and how effectively our student can take advantage of it, and how they can integrate the content, the pedagogy using this technology so that teaching learning process will be very effective and they can learn effectively. And they can use these tools as per their convenience, and it will enhance social interaction, because in learning always we say if there is more social interaction then there is better learning. So using technology we can have better collaboration, better sharing, and we can help our students to develop their creativity. They may use blog, they may use different social network services, and that is why we are using. And when initially it came, we started using this technology to enhance traditional learning. That is UNESCO has defined the stages. First stage is the emerging productive tool. We are using this computer as a productive tool. Then we started applying this technology to enhance traditional teaching learning. Traditional teaching learning means what? We want to enhance, they help the student to secure good mark in exam, how effectively they can acquire mastery over the content. Then we started applying this technology. That means when we started using this constructivist approach, facilitate learning, role of teacher change, and we started infusing technology to facilitate the learning. And UNESCO was defined that last stage, transforming stage. That means in our way of life, that means in our day-to-day life, we are using technology, we are taking advantage. So it has many dimensions that we should understand. But my focus is how effectively we can integrate technology with pedagogy so that our teaching learning process will be very meaningful and our students will enjoy learning. They will take advantage of this technology and they can develop their potentialities to the maximum extent. That is our concern. That is why you find in NEP, what is the purpose? What is the main focus? NEP is talking about experiential learning. NEP is talking about experiential learning. NEP is talking about art integrated learning. NEP is talking about sport integrated learning. It is talking about storytelling based pedagogy, discussion based pedagogy, inquiry based pedagogy. Why NEP is talking about all this? These are the different innovative strategy, and I think some of you students who are performing the art, we all are enjoying, or we with full attention we are enjoying their performance. And what are there in their performance? Why we are enjoying? The question is, can we integrate this art, this performance into teaching learning process? That is why you will find, that is why NEP has recommended art integrated learning, and NCERT has conducted many experiments. We have come up with some guidelines, and we conducted some experiment in different blocks. We have adopted 5 blocks in different parts of the country. We conducted some experiment on this art integrated learning. Can we integrate art, both visual and performing art, into teaching learning? This is the innovation. And we found, when we integrate this art integrated learning, that means art into teaching learning process, that students don't leave school. They enjoy learning, and their learning performance is better as compared to the students who are not been exposed to this art integrated learning. We found it, and we have promoted the guideline, and we started this experiment before NEP. NEP was released on 29 July 2020, but before that we conducted this experiment, and NEP took, the committee took cognizance of this fact, and they included it in NEP document. So you see, if really we want to make teaching learning more meaningful, more enjoyable, we have to contextualize what is there in our surroundings. What type of art? That means this is a Bishnupur, this is a place, and this is known for this art and culture. So can we integrate these things with our teaching learning? Can we bring it into our classroom? And you see what has been recommended. So when we are talking about innovation, that means we have to add local flavor to the textbook. Local content should be integrated in the existing textbook. Local flavor should be given to the textbook. This is not a small thing, because why NEP has recommended this? This is an innovation. How can we do this? It is now what type of textbook we have? We are using in CBSE schools. Students are reading NCERT textbooks, and some of the states, most of the states have adopted NCERT textbooks. That means most of the students are using NCERT textbooks, and state governments also, they are developing their own textbook. And when we develop textbooks, what we do? We develop one type of textbook. In NCERT, we develop one type of textbook for all categories of learners. You think of the children who are in Andaman Nicobar, who are in northeastern states, who are in Jammu Kashmir, and southern states. The same type of content all are going through. That means what is happening? We have fixed everything, but that is not going to serve the purpose. And think of the tribal children who are living in tribal area. What problem they are facing? We are not using their language also. When we are developing learning material textbooks, we are developing using our state language, using that means the regional language. So for example, in Odisha it is in Odia, in Bengal it is in Bengali, in MP it is in Hindi. But the tribal students who are living in these states, their mother tongue is different, their culture is different, their context is different, and when we use our textbook, they feel it is something irrelevant for them. They feel it is something foreign to them, and we try to impose our culture on them. That is why we are not successful in providing quality education to the disadvantaged group, maybe tribal, maybe other disadvantaged group, because we have ignored their context, we have ignored their culture, we have ignored their language. So that is why as a teacher, now time has come and it has been recommended by NEP, we can bring about innovation in our classroom while transacting the curriculum. Whatever may be the textbook, while transacting the curriculum, can we contextualize it, keeping in view the local surroundings, what is available, the local art, local culture, the language, the tradition, the festival, what we celebrate, and all this. If we can bring all this into our classroom, then we can connect our student to the society. Connect our student to the society, because what is the most important? That our students should be connected to their roots. That is the thing. If you see the vision of the policy, has been clearly mentioned that we have to develop a system of education rooted in Indian ethos. Rooted in Indian ethos, what does it mean? And why NEP has proposed this? This is the third policy, this is not the first policy. We had first policy in the year 1968, second policy in 86, then after a gap of 34 years we have the third policy. And why this policy is putting so much emphasis on Indian ethos, Indian culture, Indian tradition, Indian value system? Because all the time we feel proud, because we are Indian. And what is there? Because our culture is very rich. From the ancient days we have been propagating Vasudeva Kutumbakam. Whole world is one family. From the ancient time we have been propagating Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. And now we are celebrating Happiness Day, 20th was the Happiness Day. From the beginning, from ancient time we have been doing this. And we have a very rich culture, we had joint family system, and we have very rich value system. But our children should be connected to that. That is why NEP is putting a lot of emphasis on Indian ethos. And if our children are connected to their root, then what will happen? That will help us transforming India into an equitable, vibrant knowledge society. That has been reflected in NEP. If you go through the vision of this policy has envisioned a system of education rooted in Indian ethos, which will directly transform India into an equitable, vibrant knowledge society. And as a result of which, India will become a knowledge superpower. And the slogan now we have given by 2047, India will be a developed country. So you see how we can make our country a developed country, how we can make our country a knowledge superpower. That we have to understand. We can do this, it is in our hand. If we can connect our students to their root, if we can bring their culture, their tradition, their value system into our classroom, if they understand their culture, because our culture is very rich, no doubt about that. If we can from the beginning, we can orient them about their language, about their culture, tradition, value system, then they will feel confident and they will try to implement that in their life, and they ultimately they will be good human being, they will be good citizen, and ultimately global citizen. What do we expect? That is the expectation of NEP 2020. So that is why we should understand when we are talking about integrating our culture, that means local flavor. This is the most important thing. If we can bring about a change in our approach, and what is happening, our students are going to the market and they have some experience in the market. They are interacting with many people in the community, and we can invite community expert to the school. We can take our student to the community, and we can highlight while transacting the curriculum. If we can relate it with the local history, local geography, local culture, then it will be meaningful. Because we do not know about our family. What is our family history? What is our background? That our students do not know. Similarly, when they are living in a village, they should know about that village past. They should know about their culture. That is the most important focus of this policy. If really we want a change, then we can bring about change by integrating the local things into our teaching learning process, so that students will be connected. Second thing, if you see the vision of the policy, Policy is talking about fundamental duties. Fundamental duties. We all know what is the fundamental duty. We know the fundamental rights. Yes or no? All of us know what are the fundamental rights, and we fight for our rights. Yes or no? Yes, we fight for our rights. Do we fight for our duties? कभी फाइट किया? नहीं, ये मेरा काम है, मैं पहले कर दूंगा. कभी सोचा? नहीं. ये सिचुएशन क्यों आ रहा है? Because now we are in 21st century and we are more materialistic. We don't feel for others, but what our culture says, सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः. You see, that is our culture. And what policy has emphasized? Policy has emphasized to develop a deep sense of respect towards fundamental duties through our curriculum and pedagogy. That is most important. We are the teacher educated teachers, would be teachers sitting here. And what we should do? That means our curriculum, our pedagogy, what we are teaching inside the classroom and how we are transacting that inside the classroom, that should help in developing a deep sense of respect towards fundamental duties and constitutional values. This will bring about innovation. Because what we feel now, what is our job? We feel we have to complete the syllabus. We are doing that. We are very good teachers, no doubt about that. We are excellent teachers. And we try to complete our syllabus. And we are happy if syllabus is covered. If our students score good mark in exam, then also we are happy. Yes, our students have excelled. They have done well in exam. We are very happy. But that is good. I don't say that is not required. That is required. But along with that, we should understand what is our responsibility as a teacher. Are we preparing good human being? Are we developing a deep sense of respect among the students towards fundamental duties? If we are not doing that, then there is something wrong. That is why policy has taken cognizance of this fact. So while designing the curriculum, while transacting the curriculum, and we have to bring about a change in our approach so that we can develop a deep sense of respect among the students towards fundamental duties and constitutional values. In the eyes of law, all are equal, but in reality, lot of discrimination. India is a huge country, lot of diversity. That is our strength, that is not our weakness. But there is a discrimination in our society. There is a disparity in our society. Those who are coming from disadvantaged groups, socio-economically disadvantaged group, they are the sufferers. So that is why, if we can, there is a need of developing deep sense of respect for fundamental duties. If we can help our students to become conscious of their duties, then in future they will never fight for their rights. They will never fight for the rights. They will enjoy their duties. They enjoy their rights if they are conscious of their duties and responsibility. So this is our responsibility. Our responsibility is not just to transact the curriculum, the content, what is there in the textbook. Our responsibility is to develop a deep sense of respect among the students towards fundamental duties and constitutional values. The third thing, now we are talking about developing a deep sense of pride among the students, pride of being Indian. That is there in the policy, pride in being Indian. That we know why. Indian not only in color, Indian in color and spirit. Earlier, when Britishers were there, what was their approach? Indian in color, but British are in best temperament. But now, what we want? Indian in color and Indian in spirit. True Indian. And we should develop that type of knowledge, attitude, values, disposition among the students, so that will support the commitment towards sustainable development, towards human rights, towards global citizenship. All these are there in the vision of the policy, and this is very serious implication. When we are talking about the vision of the policy, it is not for school education or college education or technical, it is for the entire system of education. And we should understand what is the vision, what is there. If this is there in the vision of the policy, then how to develop this? How to develop commitment towards sustainable development? We know environmental crisis is there, and value crisis is there, value deterioration is there. Students are committing suicide. Many things are there. And what is happening in Russia, Ukraine, what is happening in Lebanon, Israel, Bangladesh, we all know. So now it is not our duty just to make our students good citizens of India. Now we have to make them good global citizens. They should understand what is happening in the neighboring countries and other countries, so that we can develop a better understanding. And that is because that is our root. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina and Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So that is there in the vision of the policy. Then I will come to the structure. What are the innovations we have to bring about? When now we are talking about 15 years of schooling, that we all know. Currently we have 12 years of schooling. 12 साल का है ना schooling, 10 plus 2. Why 15 years? Why 15 years? If it is 15 years, then what we have to do? What type of innovation we have to bring about in our teaching learning process? And 15 years you know 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. And why this 5 and when we are talking about this foundational stage, you will see in policy, if you go to the policy, it is some guiding principles. And we have to integrate all this into our teaching learning process. And that means all our students should develop their unique potentiality. That is there. And there should not be any hard separation between curricular, co-curricular, general and vocational education, and science and arts. Why it is there? And there should be holistic development, there should be multidisciplinary education. All these are there in the guiding principle. And how can we implement all these in our classroom? And why it is there? That we should understand. Why there should not be any hard separation between curricular? Practically what we are doing in our classroom. If it is curricular, then we give more importance to that. If it is co-curricular, then we give less importance to that. If it is extracurricular, still less. But all are equally responsible for the holistic development of the student. All are equally responsible. Curricular, co-curricular, extracurricular. That we should understand. We have to give due weightage to all these three: curricular, co-curricular, extracurricular. That is why policy has categorically, it has mentioned in the policy, no hard separation, because all are essential for holistic development of our children. That is why we are introducing holistic progress card. That means we will measure all the dimensions of the personality, not only their mark, what they are securing in exam, but how they are behaving, how they are communicating, how they are interacting, what type of leadership quality they have, what type of socio-emotional skills they have. All these we want to assess. If we assess, then automatically there will be change in our pedagogical approach and also in our curriculum. So all due weightage will be given to that. So that is another thing. And that is why we are from the beginning, when we are talking about this foundational stage, you will find we are making it holistic from the beginning. And you know, maximum brain development takes place during this early stage. Around 85% of brain development takes place during this early stage. That is why that you think of the children who are coming from the tribal area. We rural areas, tribal areas, we have Anganwadis. What we are doing? We are providing them food and nutrition. What about the education of the children? If maximum brain development during this period, then we have to provide quality education to our children at the early stage. And similarly, think of the Dipak children. We have to identify the disability from the beginning. If we can identify from the beginning, then we can take care of them and we can help them to develop their potential. They can also live in the society very comfortably. So that is why what we have to do from the beginning, we have to introduce this holistic approach. We are putting a lot of emphasis on this FLN, that we know, foundational literacy and numeracy, FLN. But that is not everything. Because literacy is a means so that they can learn in a better way. But along with that, you will be in the foundational stage, we are putting emphasis on their emotional development, on their social development, on their physical development, on their aesthetic development. That means Holistic development should take place from the beginning, not that only we will be teaching them alphabet and help them just to learn literacy and numeracy, but along with that, we have to take care of the holistic development from the beginning. So that is there, that guiding principle you see, that has been integrated into the curriculum, and that is going to be implemented from the beginning, from the foundational stage. That is why for the first time we have come out with a national curriculum framework for foundational stage that was released in October 2022. Then another national curriculum framework has been released in August 2023. And if you go through this, you will find the proper guideline has been developed and it has been recommended how to implement the recommendation of the policy at the grassroots. So that means from the beginning, because at the early stage, NCERT, you will find NCERT never developed textbook for the preschool students because there is no need. There is no need of textbook at the early stage. They should let them play, let them interact with the surroundings, let them manipulate different types of material so that their social development, emotional development, aesthetic development will take place along with the cognitive development. So that is why you will find that we are trying to bring about change in our approach and we are trying to make it more holistic and more multidisciplinary. You see, when we are talking about multidisciplinary, you will find that it is not only for higher education. When we are talking about multidisciplinary, it is there in our mind. No, in higher education only we can do this. No. If you see the recommendation of this NEP 2020, then we are starting this multidisciplinary approach from class 6 onwards. Class 6 onwards, you see, after foundational stage, when students will be coming to the preparatory stage, class 3, 4, 5, you find a transformation, particularly in pedagogy. That means they will not go on listening, rather they will be actively engaged, they will collaboratively doing something, more collaboration, more participation, more activities, all these things will be there. And from class 6 onwards, you will find we have to bring up a lot of change in our approach, a lot of innovation. And why? Because from class 6 onwards, what we are doing, we are giving them discipline knowledge. Discipline knowledge. What subjects are there, you know. What are the subjects we are teaching in the class 6? We are teaching them language, we are teaching them social science, we are teaching them science, and we are teaching them mathematics. 4 subjects are there. But now this NCF has recommended 3 more subjects. 3 more subjects, physical education, art and vocational education. So you see why that's 3 more, that means 4 plus 3. So why all these subjects have been recommended and what is the purpose of this? And you see, it is not that they will be acquiring mastery over social science, mathematics, language and all other subjects. They have to understand the interrelationship among the subjects. Interrelationship among the subjects is not they will be doing well in mathematics only. They should understand what is the interrelationship mathematics with science, mathematics with language, mathematics with social science. That means that is more important. That we are going to start from the beginning. That is why then only we can bring about change in our approach and we can make it multidisciplinary in true sense when they will going for higher education. That means they will understand this. That means you see, now what we are doing in our teacher education institutions. In our teacher education, we are preparing teachers for 4 pedagogy subjects. Yes or no? Pedagogy, science teacher will be knowing about science pedagogy. Math teachers will be knowing about math pedagogy. And social science teacher, language teachers. 4. But now we are talking about multidisciplinary approach. We are talking about the interdisciplinary approach. If we go on doing like this, then what will happen? Then our teachers will be teaching only mathematics, mathematics teacher will be teaching only mathematics, science teacher will be teaching only science. There will be no interaction, there will be no sharing. What is going on, that will continue. That is why in order to implement this, we have to bring about change in teacher education program. We have to prepare teacher keeping in view the requirement of this multidisciplinary approach, interdisciplinary approach. Now we are encouraging project method. We are encouraging the students to work in group. We are encouraging the science teacher, math teacher, social science teacher, language teacher should work together.
If they work together, what will happen? They can find out what are the common things in all these subjects, what are the common projects we can give to our students, so that we can make it interdisciplinary, so that we can make it multidisciplinary. That is the need of hour. So that is why we have to bring about change in our teacher education program. If really we want to make it multidisciplinary, both in pre-service as well as in service program. Then another thing, you see, from class 6 when we are talking about this multidisciplinary approach, and you see that is one most important thing. We all know India is going to be the youngest country in the world. Yes or no? Yes. Next century, that is next decade, India will be the youngest country. We will have maximum number of youth. And what is the need of our? We have to develop their skills and competencies so that they will be asset to the nation, not liability to the nation. So that is why we should start thinking of this and other countries. Now you may think of the Japan, you may think of China. Now they are worried that population growth, the rate is coming down, and they are worried now. I saw in the Times of India that in Japan they are thinking of making the week now 5 days week. They want to make it 4 days because people can give more time to the family. And in China, they are thinking of introducing law education in their university. So you see, that is what will be the future. So now we have advantage, and we are in a better position, and we should take advantage of this demographic dividend. That is why there is a need of developing the skills and competency. But what is the reality? The reality, you will find vocational education. When we say multidisciplinary, if you see the 64 colors in NEP, it has been highlighted. When we are talking about 64 colors, that is there in Kadambari's Aryavart's Kadambari, you will see that literature, you will find 64 colors that has been reflected. In these 64 colors, education is incomplete without 64 colors. What is the best? And what is the 64 colors? It is not only painting and dancing. It includes the discipline knowledge what we are teaching in our classroom. That is also part of the 64 colors. And this vocational knowledge, vocational experience what we are giving, that is also an integral part of the 64 colors. Professional, it may like medicine, engineering, etc. That is also another integral part. Then soft skills. So these 5 components are there. But in our system, what we are doing? We are promoting only, we are taking care of only discipline knowledge, how to teach different school subjects. But what about other things? Like painting, of course, now NCERT has recommended to introduce art as a subject, vocational education as a subject. So that we are trying to make it more multidisciplinary. So that is why, when we are talking about this, that if we see the past, vocational education was there. Multidisciplinary approach was there in Nalanda, Takeshila, multidisciplinary approach was there, and holistic education was there. Many students from other countries were coming to India. But now what is the problem? What scenario is reversed? Or we are going to other countries to learn, and our focus is only on discipline knowledge. And we look down vocational education. If we see the vocational education, that is totally neglected in our country. I hope you might have gone through NEP document, and it is clearly mentioned that only 5% of the workforce coming through formal vocational education in India, whereas in South Korea it is 96%, in Germany it is 75%, in USA it is 52%. It is there in NEP document. And if you compare, if you see that why it is 5%, because we look down vocational education. We feel it is not essential, it is not required. You see the condition of Korea. We have signed with Korea, MOU with Korea, and they have adopted one school in Bhopal, and we are working on that. If you see the vocational education in Korea, that we asked why you are so developed in vocational education. Then they said, no, our condition was like India in the beginning, because both the country became independent in 1947. That we all know, they were under Japan, we are under British. And the economic condition of both the country was same. And now Korea is a developed country and we all are using Korean products, Hyundai, Samsung, LG, everything. We are using all Korean products. And we have to think why Korea became a developed country within this time and why India is still a developing country, huge country, full of natural resources, and we have very good brains also. We are serving for other countries, not for India. So you see, what is the problem? Problem is it might be one of the reasons is we have neglected vocational education. Before British had come to India, we had very good cottage industry in our country. But they damaged the system because of their self-interest. But after that, our education system has not taken care of that, and we have separate vocational stream. That is why we are suffering. That is why India is a developing country. That could be one of the reasons. And they are spending more on research. If you see, they are spending 4.2% of GDP on research. We are spending only 0.69% of GDP on research. And they are working hard. And since they are developing the skills and competency from the beginning, and they are able to produce better things, and we are the user, they are the producers, and we are developing country, they are developed country. So that is why now we have to learn from others, and we have to make this vocational education an integral part of the general education. That is the recommendation of the policy, and that was an integral part of education in ancient time and in medieval time also. But after now we have to make it an integral part of our education. So that is why we have to bring about change in our approach. Our teachers who are teaching, we may not appoint vocational teachers in the beginning. The teachers who are teaching in the school in the middle stage, they should be oriented about this, because they should be introduced to vocational education. They should visit the local community. They should understand what is happening in the community, what type of vocation we have in our local community, and then they will develop a very positive attitude towards that in the beginning. When they will be coming to the secondary education, the secondary stage, they will select subject of their choice. And we are devoting very less time for vocational education. And vocational education, what we are providing in our schools, and we are teaching only theory, very little practical, that means they don't have the skills. And overall you will find, both in school education and higher education, so what is the problem? We have students, we have very good students. Our students are securing very good marks in exam, but our students are not having age appropriate and stage appropriate skills and competencies. Our students, both in higher education as well as in school education, not having the age appropriate and stage appropriate skills and competencies. And how low? It is evident. Our graduates are not employable, because most of the graduates are not employable because they don't have the skills. Industries are not interested to take them. The different other business houses, they are not interested to take them because they don't have the required skills and competency. The skills what they need in 21st century, they don't have. Even in our school education, you will find National Achievement Survey. NCERT conduct National Achievement Survey every 3 years. And it has been conducted in 24, but result, we are waiting for the result in 21. Last one was 21. And 21 survey, we started from 2001-2, but in 2017 we find that was a paradigm shift, because in 2017 we came up with the learning outcome, because our focus was to shift our focus from content mastery to competency mastery. And when we came up with the learning outcome, we conducted this National Achievement Survey based on the learning outcome, because these are the competency we wanted to assess. Why only content, why not competency? Then in 2017 we selected 22 lakhs students all over the country. We went to the district level, conducted that survey. Then in 2021, same survey was conducted on 34 lakh students all over the country, and this is the advantages, all categories of schools. The best English medium schools, our Kendriya Vidyalaya, Navodaya Vidyalaya, all categories of schools were included. And the result is very interesting. The average score in class 10 is 38. Average score in class 10 is 38. Class 10. That means all India score. This is the all India score in 2021. What does it mean? 38 means it is less than 40. And what percentage of mark of students secure in board exam? More than 80%, 70%. Some students score 90%, 100%. But when we conduct this national achievement survey, why our students are unable to score more than 40%? That means this is the average score is 40%, less than 40%. In the 2017 also same thing was there. Both the survey are similar results, having similar results. What does it indicate? That means we are teaching, we are transacting the curriculum, we are helping our students to score good mark in exam, but they don't have the age appropriate and stage appropriate skills and competency what they need in 21st century. That is why now we have to think what we have to do. We have to bring about change in our classroom process. Most important, this is the innovation we expect in teaching learning process. If we will not go on transacting the content what is there in the textbook, we will empower our students and we will make them autonomous learners. We will facilitate teaching and we will create teaching learning situation, and so that they can develop the problem solving ability, they can develop the critical thinking, they can develop the creativity, and they can solve problems in different ways. They will be more innovative, more creative, and better communication skill they will have. So that what will happen, we can really help them in developing their skills and competences. If you see some international studies, many international study highlights, Indian students are good if questions come from the textbook. If questions comes from the textbooks, Indian students excel. That is why our students are excelling in board exam, scoring 90%, 100%. If it is beyond textbook, if it is something related to application, understanding, our students are not performing well. What does it mean? That means there is something wrong in our classroom process. And that is why we are not participating in PISA. PISA you might be knowing, 2009 we participated. After that we are not participating. Our performance was last but one. After that we are not participating. So that is why in this policy you will find a lot of recommendation for the curricular reform. Not only it is talking about the stages, when they will be going to the secondary stage, there will be a lot of flexibility. In higher education, lot of flexibility, multiple entry, multiple exit, 4-year graduation. One can do PhD after 4-year graduation. Lot of flexibility. We are talking about this academic bank of credit, and we have come out with the national credit framework. And now students can earn credit during their leisure time, and so that we can make it holistic. So all these recommendations are there. But what we have to do really to implement, we have to make our curriculum outcome based. Most important thing, we have to make our curriculum outcome based. It has been categorically recommended in NEP that for school education, the curriculum must be competency based. The examination must be competency based, because it is evident now our students are not having age appropriate and stage appropriate skills and competencies. If really we want to take our country to a new height, then we have to develop the skills and competencies among the students, and we have to develop their holistic personality. And to develop the holistic personality, we have to redesign our curriculum. And not only curriculum, we have to bring about change in our pedagogical approach. What we are discussing, experiential learning, art integrated learning, sport integrated learning. Why we are talking? Because we can preserve our art, we can preserve our culture. Along with that, by integrating art culture into our teaching learning process, we can make teaching learning more meaningful, more productive, and more enjoyable. Students will not leave school; they will learn happily, and they will understand the thing in a better way, and that will help them to construct their own knowledge. So that is why these are the innovations you will find in NEP 2020. Sports integrated learning. Physical education is totally neglected in our system. Sometimes we teach mathematics during game period because syllabus is not covered. We have to cover the syllabus. This is the reality. But that is why NEP has recommended physical education will be a subject like mathematics, and it will get it due. Our students should be physically strong. That is the most important. That is why while designing curriculum, we have to take into account all this. And similarly, while transacting the curriculum, sport integrated learning, we learn many things from the playground. Playground, the team spirit, fellow feeling, belongingness, cooperation, collaboration, all these we learn from the playground. That should not be neglected, because we have to develop the socio-emotional skills among the students. And we can integrate the teaching learning. That is why focus is more on sport integrated learning. Focus is more on ICT integrated learning. ICT should not be just for the sake of ICT. We are using digital method and we are using technology. But how to integrate technology with pedagogy, that should be our concern. So that is why you will find many recommendations in the particularly for the pedagogical transformation. And the most important thing that I will highlight, that is an assessment. Because if you see NEP starting from higher education to school education, now you find what NEP expects. NEP expects a reform in the assessment system. Assess not only pedagogy, not only curriculum, but most important, the key is assessment. That is why you will find what has been recommended. NEP has recommended the students should be involved in the process of assessment. Most interesting. Till now, students are not involved. Are you involved? Students are sitting here. Are you involved in the process of assessment? No. Nowhere in our country. We have not started it. So, what do we want? What is the recommendation? If really we want change in the system, then we have to involve students in the process of assessment. We have a mindset, if students are involved, then there will be no confidentiality, examination means something confidential and others should not know about this. So many things are there. But if you see the recommendation, that it has been clearly recommended that students should be involved, that should be self-assessment, that should be peer assessment, that should be assessment by the teacher, and there should be holistic assessment, 360-degree assessment, and it policy is talking about 3 modes of assessment that we all know. One is assessment of learning. We all are familiar with summative assessment, we all know. And another is assessment for learning, that is formative assessment. Traditionally we are doing all these two. That means in between, to monitor learning, that after 2 months, 3 months we are conducting an internal test. And why we are doing this internal test? Just to help students to secure good mark in exam. Because if they are weak, then we try to give them some feedback, some remedial measures, so that they can acquire mastery over the content, secure good mark in exam. This is the traditional approach of assessment. But NEP is talking about another innovation, that is assessment as learning. That you might be knowing, assessment as learning. What is this assessment as learning? It is a continuous process. Why students will wait for 3 months to get feedback from the teacher? Why not immediately? Why they can't assess their own performance? Why their friends cannot assess their own performance? Why only teacher will conduct the assessment? So that is why you will find a lot of recommendation on assessment as learning. Assessment that will let students reflect on their own learning. While you are informing students about their achievement after 3 months, that means they will get opportunity to reflect on their performance after 3 months. Why they will wait 3 months to get feedback from the teacher? Why not immediately? And that is why we have to bring about some change. We have to provide opportunity to our students to reflect on their own learning. If they can reflect, if you can reflect on your own learning, if you know your strength as well as your weakness, it will be your first duty to overcome your weakness. If students know their weakness, they will try their best to overcome their weakness. So that is why what has been recommended, it should be a continuous process. And students should be involved, they should reflect on their own assessment. Because assessment as learning, this is what is the difference? That means here we are giving opportunity to our students to reflect on their own learning. That is the most important thing. And only test, by using only test we can conduct assessment. We are using only test, we are masters. We know how to develop test, we know all the characteristics of developing good test, and we are doing that. But that is not sufficient. That can help us to assess only the cognitive behavior. What about the affective behavior, affective domain, psychomotor domain? That we cannot assess using test. That is why we have to use non-testing techniques. And the challenge is, we say that non-testing techniques, they are subjective in nature, there will be biasness of the teacher, and we cannot measure accurately. But what is our purpose? Our purpose is to help students to develop their holistic personality. If really we want to develop their holistic personality, we have to use both testing and non-testing techniques. We have to use both subjective as well as objective techniques. Test is the most authentic tool for objective assessment. Rubric is the most authentic tool for subjective assessment. rubric, portfolio, all these new techniques we can use to make our assessment holistic and to bring about change in the process of assessment. That is why in higher education section you will find it has been criterion based. It is talking about criterion based assessment, outcome based curriculum. What does it mean? What is the difference between criterion based and norm based? That means we have to identify the competence, what we expect our student to attend. Accordingly, we should conduct the test. Not that just we take their average score. So that is why a lot of recommendation to bring about change in our teaching learning process, particularly in the field of assessment, so that there will be a balance between summative and formative assessment. More focus is on summative assessment, but now we have to establish a balance. Summative assessment will be there, assessment of learning will be there. But along with that, if we integrate with the formative assessment, then it will be more meaningful, and our students will be benefited out of that. That is the need of our. That is why if you see the recommendation of NEP, it is talking about reform in curriculum, reform in pedagogy, reform in assessment. Because if two models we are using, so earlier we are using behavioristic model, now we are propagating this constructivist model. And if you see the assessment is separate from teaching learning in behavioristic model. Because we want to assess the product at the end, to what extent we have been successful in achieving the learning goal. But in constructivist approach, focus is on not only on product, focus is on process. What the students are learning, that is important, no doubt about it. How they are learning, how they are sharing, how they are interacting, how they are taking initiative. We have to assess all these. We have to assess both process and product. And we can assess the process and product if assessment will be an integral part of teaching learning. That is why in our modern learning theory, we are talking about strength model of assessment. In traditional learning theory, we are talking about deficit model of assessment. Deficit means what we do? We try to find out what is the weakness of the students. What are the weakness, what they do not know. Then accordingly we give them feedback, remedial, so that they can acquire mastery over the content, secure good mark in exam. But in modern theory, we are talking about strength model. It is not their weakness that is important for us. What is the strength? In which area they are strong? One may not do well in math, but that person may be good in sports. That person may be good in music. That person may be good in leadership quality. That person may have better socio-personal relationship. Some students are having better personality. So that is why what we have to do, we have to identify what are the strengths they have. If we can identify the strength instead of the weakness, we can guide them accordingly, and they will be happy to learn, and they will develop their potentiality. And if education is provided as per their interest, as per their aptitude, that is why in secondary education we are going to make it more flexible. That is why it has been recommended there will be no hard separation between curricular, co-curricular, science, arts. Let them select subject of their choice. Let them learn as per their interest and aptitude, so that their personality will develop from a holistic perspective. They will grow as per their potentiality. And why will compel everybody to have mastery over logical mathematical knowledge? Because we know multiple intelligence. Logical mathematical intelligence, only one part of it. Everybody is having multiple intelligence. It's a matter of degree. That is why we have to identify the potentiality. We have to follow strong strength model, and accordingly we have to bring about change in our teaching learning process. I think I have taken a lot of time. So it is lunch time.
No, sir, you are confident.
Then we can have some question and answer session, and I would like to stop here, because I am here for the whole day. After that also we can have interaction, because whatever I have presented before you, that is there in the NEP as per the recommendation of NEP, and what practically we are doing in our classroom, that I have highlighted. And if really when we are talking about innovation, if really we want to bring about change in the system, then we have to bring about change in our mindset. We have to bring about change in our mindset. First, we should have the self-confidence. Yes, I can do. And we will wait, no, something will happen from the top. It will come from the ministry. It will come from the higher authority, director, then only will implement. No, nothing will happen like that. As a teacher, what I can do in my classroom? Can I bring about innovation in my classroom? I am the master of my classroom. Can I help my student to develop their potentiality? So that is a big challenge. Yes, we can do. We have the potentiality. We are the teachers. We can bring about change. It is nothing that something will come from the principal only, then I do. No. I can do my labor. If I can help one student, if I can bring about change in the life of one student, that is enough. And we should try. That is why first thing we have to bring about change in our mindset. If we bring about change in our mindset, yes, we are teacher, we can do it, then we can do this. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. And if you feel, no, my job is just to cover the syllabus, then you cover the syllabus and be happy with that. And you cannot prepare good human being. You cannot bring about change in the system. If really you want to change, then you have to bring about change in your mindset. Then you can implement all the recommendations. Nothing is impossible. And it is not that for everything we need support from the ministry or support from the government. Many things we can do at our level. We can involve community. We can bring about change in our classroom process. We can bring about change in the process of assessment. We can add local things, local content. We bring it to the classroom. That is in our hand. So it is up to us. If we really want, we can bring about change. If we do not want, then nobody can do this. That is why two things we say. One is I have to do. Second is I want to do. That is the difference between two. Because we have been doing, because we have been asked to do. But if I want to do, then nobody can stop me. So that is why you have to understand whether you have to do or you want to do. So that is, it is up to you. So if really collectively we try, we can implement the recommendation of NEP 2020 in our classroom, and we can bring about innovation, lot of innovation, and ultimately change will take place, and our country will be a developed country. So thank you very much. Now I will stop. You can ask some question answer. Anything you like to ask, any feedback you want to give, any observation.